again, for those of you who get the second spiel here, thank you very much for taking time out of your evening. Please provide feedback. You know, you can message me on LinkedIn. I'm Ryan Sweeney, the host of the View from the Skies. So, or you can go on the www.viewfromtheskies.weebly.com website, provide feedback in the contact section there. Whatever's easiest, but thank you for taking time out of the evening. Hopefully you find this beneficial. And then before I hand it over to Matt and Mike to make their introductions, I just wanted to say thanks for those of you who haven't heard the podcast View from the Skies. I launched it about September of last year, and just trying to find ways to support people going through the military transition, and just kind of wrangle up experts, so to speak. I'm by no means one, but I just enjoy listening and sharing other people's information and story to empower you guys to make the best decision as possible. So that is who View from the Skies is. We truly are about leaving the foxhole better for the next person. So that being said, I'll go ahead and let Matt Scherer introduce himself first and foremost.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Scherer. I'm been a LinkedIn coach for 8-10 years, give or take. I just got the good news that my third edition of my book will be ready at the end of the week. LinkedIn for Military. I really like this edition, but I'm not here to sell my book. I'm more here to help you guys and talk to you about some of the things you might want to understand as far as the networking. So I'm here to be of help to you all. So I look forward to working with you tonight. Over to you, Mike.
All right, Matt, thank you. And good evening or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me back again. Good to chat with you. My name is Mike Bentley. I've been out of the military now for 3 years, or I should say retired from the active force. I still participate in these events trying to help veterans in the transition, so I like to stay connected to the military. I work for an organization called Whitney, Bradley, and Brown, where I'm a senior talent management consultant, program manager, and just I do a variety of everything. So I'm glad to be here, happy to be here, and happy to help some questions. It's good to see some familiar faces. John, who I happened to have the opportunity to meet with a couple weeks ago, who does phenomenal work as well with his organization. And then Bruni, it's always good to see you. So thanks, Ryan, appreciate it.
Absolutely. So this is basically the rundown of how this is going to work. I just have the attendees on the right hand side of my screen. I'm going to call up who's first on my list. You're going to give your elevator pitch and just, you're here to learn, but this also is going to get published on the podcast. So try to put your best foot forward as possible. Sell yourself and who your brand is. And then I'll hand it over to Matt, Mike. Each of them will kind of provide their feedback. I chose them because of their varying backgrounds. I mean, Matt's the communication side of the house, kind of the I would call LinkedIn guru, and then Mike is representing talent management, HR side of the house, and then also sold himself to me as a fellow aviator, but it sold itself on LinkedIn as an HR professional. So you're going to get two kind of varying advice from two professionals. Once they provide both their advice, they'll both be open to answer or ask a question of you that kind of whatever jogs their interest a little bit, to learn a little bit more about you. And then once that's said and done, we'll run through the whole list, and we'll hold any last Q&A till the end. So without any further questions, Bruni, you are up first in the chute. So go ahead and give us your elevator pitch.
Oh my gosh, I have to be first. Well, my name is Bruni Garcia. I am transitioning from the Army after 30 years. Has full background in the talent management field. What I have served in the Army, I had led a unit of 300 personnel consisting of officers, enlisted, and civilians to manage the use and of more than millions of dollars of worth of equipment. While continuing to perform my duties, I also obtained 2 master's degrees, one in business and the other one in strategic studies. I enjoy working I enjoyed researching and analyzing policies and regulations. I have also produced many policies at the DoD level and made contributions to many implementation self-regulations. I would like to find a job as a leader development specialist in the federal government or in service industries to be able to use leadership and organizational skills.
And thank you very much, Bruni. I appreciate that. Matt, I'm gonna hand it over to you first to provide your feedback.
Bruni, what I want to know is, what do you love about what you're doing in the military, and how's that going to translate to when you leave that uniform behind? It was like a lot of this and that, but I really want to know why you get up in the morning and what you want to do next. Okay, obviously you've got a lot of experience writing guidance, and you're a full bird colonel with personnel management. I just want to know what you want to do next, because I hate to say it, there's a lot of people like you, and I'm not trying to be brutal. I'm just trying to be honest. Okay.
No, that's fine. I appreciate the feedback, man. You know, what really motivates me in the morning is, you know, having the opportunity to go out and communicate with people. I love communicating. I love talking to people. I like finding out, you know, what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And if there's anything really that I can do to assist or support them in any way, I think that really has allowed me an opportunity to connect with people.
Okay.
And has executive advisor, you know, to many senior leaders in the military. It had allowed me an opportunity to really dig into policies and regulations in order for me to provide decisive guidance, you know, for them to make decisions. But it had also allowed me.
What I heard you say is you love to create policy that serves the mission, that creates a more effective way to communicate that. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
I'm going to turn over to Mike.
So that's pretty much, you know, what motivates me, you know, to get up and go to work, having that opportunity to talk to people and finding out whether they're happy or not happy with their jobs and what they're doing, and if there's anything that I can do to really spark some kind of motivation on them to do better.
Perfect. I'm going to turn over to Mike now. Mike, you.
So it's I've been working with Bruni for a little while now, so it's
I know, Mike.
we're probably lean this way, but you know, elevator pitches, 30-second elevator spiels, whatever you want to call them. As soon as you put the words to them, they have a tendency to all of a sudden become official, and you stop forgetting how to talk. I remember when somebody said your 30-second elevator pitch, and I went back when Ryan asked me to talk about this, and I pulled up some of the documents I had on my elevator pitch, and I had an elevator pitch that was, you know, a half a paragraph or a half a page long. Sure, you know, I am retiring, blah 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 blah, and you know, I tried that spiel on someone one time, and you got the death stare, like, what did that person just tell me? So I like to equate elevator pitches to this. Just forget about the formality of it, but like Matt was just saying, and that's just get down to what you want to do and what value you can add to an organization, and then keep it very simple. Does everybody on this call at some point fish, or do you know how to fish? Have you fished before?
Oh, many years ago, you know, when the kids were little.
So the reason why I say that is because look at your elevator pitch as fishing. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to say the right thing, which is the bait, to get that bite, to get that person to come back at you and say, oh, well, tell me how you did that, right? So when somebody asks you and says, you know, what do you do? Are you one of those people like I was that says, oh, I'm a test and evaluation colonel that works in the Pentagon? Or are you more inclined to go ahead and tell someone what you do? And so you can use your elevator pitch for that. You want to be able to get that bite. And so when you get that bite and then they come back at you, that nibble, right? So you kind of got to use the quick punch, the quick terminology. 30 seconds, frankly, is too long. So I'll give you an example. I went from this big spiel down to this. When somebody asks, you know, if I have to, and this was practice, by the way, lots of practice. Somebody says, what do you do? I tell them, I said, I ensure that organizations have the right people, the right place, the right time, the right cost, and they can retain their workforce. Full stop. And then that's the bite, right? That's the fish going out. Mm-hmm. And they say, how do you do that? And that's when you've gotten that context and you can go. So I went from having this, this half a page elevator pitch to a sentence. And it really works that way because when you go into these long drawn out things, that people they'll drone off on you. And you practice that on airplanes. Can't tell you how many times I've practiced that. So, Bruni and I have been working together for, I don't know what now, a couple months, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, for 4 months, yes.
I know what her passion is. I know because she's been in a lot of the things that I've been participating in. And I know your passion is people and development and that training and that leader development sphere right there, Bruni. And as I listen to your elevator pitch, that doesn't come across, right? That doesn't come across. And I think that's why Matt was saying, what's your passion? What's your passion? And I know what your passion is because I've worked with you. So I thought it was good. There's more punch to it per se if you get that, that knockout, that right hook right off the bat.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the feedback.
Matt, do you have anything to add to that? Yeah, there we go. There's the fishing.
I like the picture.
Matt, I think you're muted, bud.
Implied. Yeah. So here's the think of it as the fishing thing. And on LinkedIn, you only get 18 words. You only get 18 words. So you've got to make an impression pretty quickly. So, okay.
Yeah. And so, I'm by no means an expert. I'm just going to summarize some of this, but that's why a big reason why I selected Matt was because he basically tells you to use your LinkedIn like a newspaper story. You got your headline, you got your picture, and then you got you read the first thing, and it's whether you turn to C5 or not to continue reading. And LinkedIn is 18 words, and really your elevator pitch is the same thing. It just reiterates what Mike had to say as well. So yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. So and hopefully that helps you out, Bruni. We're going to ask you to go on mute now. We're going to move to the next person on the list, and that's BCB.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Brandon Broden. I'm an operations officer for the Marine Corps at a Wounded Warrior detachment here in San Antonio. On a day-to-day basis, myself and my team, we facilitate the care of our wounded, ill, or injured Marines. I'm currently scheduled to demobilize between the next 6 to 18 months from now, and will transition back to the civilian sector within the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay, yes, question for you. I got a real generalized thing, but what I want to know is, what do you like about that mission? What gives you?
It's a very challenging mission. It's not one that they particularly train the Marine Corps to do. It's not a combat-related function. But it provides the baseline of leading Marines each and every day and providing guidance to those that are in need. So I enjoy the interaction with the Marines. It's a very complex environment. You're dealing with next of kin. You're dealing with spouses. It's a very emotionally charged environment. In order to operate within that, it takes some poise. You have to take a tactical pause and really think through what you're going to do each and every day.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, Brandon, could I ask you real fast to say that again, please? Can say your speech again. I missed probably a couple of the first part of it. Would you mind saying it again?
Sure. My name is Brandon Broden. I'm an operations officer for the Marine Corps' Wounded Warrior Detachment here in San Antonio. On a day-to-day basis, myself and the team of staff sergeants, we facilitate the care of our wounded, ill, or injured Marines that arrive from Afghanistan, Iraq, all over the world. How copy?
Yeah, I got it, and I think it's short, it's concise. I definitely can tell that you are a military person because it's boom, boom. I like what you said. I just have one question. Now you said initially you're transitioning back into, did I hear you say Department of Homeland Security?
That is correct.
So you already have a job you're going into?
That is correct. I do. But the reason why I'm here is because I expect my staff sergeants to continue to seek self-improvement. That is a principal tenet of the Marine Corps leadership. So it's like, hey, no one is too good or too expert at something in order to learn something new each and every day. So yeah. I'm here to gain knowledge, be around the environment, learn from the different backgrounds here on this webinar. And
so you're in a field that I believe after 19 going on 20 years of war that just about every American understands, and that's wounded warriors and the care of our wounded warriors. So that comes across to me as something that is understandable, and what you do is understandable. I'll be honest with you, it would cause me to come back to you and say, all right, that's nice. Can you tell me what you do more on a day-to-day basis? And so when I said you're trying to get that bite, you would have gotten a bite from me to try to figure out, hey, I want to hear more about what this guy or gal does to facilitate our wounded warriors. So, I mean, from that perspective, I think you would have got a little nibble off of me to hear more. So I think good stuff.
Roger. Thank you.
I got one more comment, my friend. And you said I and my team. I always say my team and I, because it shows that you're leading people.
Roger.
It's more. It sounds better to me. What do you think,
yeah,
Mike?
Absolutely.
My team and I, Ryan, Mike. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing I would add to that, and there's nothing wrong, but since we're taking this as a developmental piece for you, would be the fact that if you were to jump on my LinkedIn and looked at my job description, my current job title, it's not my actual written out current job title, and I did it that way strategically because I feel like I can move in between a few different job titles. So I have a few alterations to a couple different elevator pitches based if I'm talking more of like on the customer side of the house or if I'm talking more on the product side of the house. So just something to bring back is there's no necessarily one way to do this, and you can kind of craft that trait a little bit as you start to gain experience with putting together your pitch.
Roger. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
All right, next on the list is Colin.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, my name is Colin Sandell, and I recently transitioned from the Air Force after 24 years of service. My background's in operations, logistics, and program management as a manager of managers. My passion is leading and building diverse teams to simplify complex issues and provide solutions. And I'm interested in getting into the tech industry here in Austin. I'll copy.
I heard you. What I heard was the typical performance report stuff. What I'd like to know, you said what you really want to do at the end, which is work with technology teams. What has the Air Force taught you that you think is of value to a future employer?
Problem solving complex issues, tapping into team members' potential and bringing out their strengths in order to achieve that synergy and problem solving.
So what I heard you say is just then is I like to work with diverse teams to tap into their talents and solve complex problems. Yeah. Okay, that's a little bit better than this and this and this. You put, it's like, I'm an old military journalist, so you have to understand the lead was at the end of your 30-second spiel, okay? Mike, what do you think?
So tech, I got you want to get into the tech arena, which is one of the most baffling fields that's out there in the civilian world. So I don't have a lot of tech experience or tech background. But there's sometimes, I was told this one time, sometimes you take the answer to your question of tell me about yourself, and you try to mold that into a 30-second elevator pitch. And so what you just gave me was a very good, and what you gave the whole team, by the way, was a very good tell me about yourself. Quick, which I think is different than what your elevator. Sorry about that.
That would be one of his dogs. Sorry. My children are not as noisy.
Well, Mike's doing that. One of the pieces of advice, and it goes back kind of to the passion piece, and it goes back kind of to the fishing side of the house. But the best elevator pitch I ever had. Now, granted, this was a little bit more formal environment, but I sat down with my plant manager's manager. And, our process within our organization is to have a get to know sheet. And I slide the get to know sheet over, and sure, he's used to looking at it every time. His eyes go right down to it. And I said, you can have that as a reference, but I'm going to tell you a story. Is it more interesting? Is that okay if I tell you a story? And his eyes came right up, and he looked right at me, and he never looked at that piece of paper once again. And it was a story about the military and how it tied into our brand and our organizations, and I crafted it to pull in our values as an organization. But that was that's me as Mike's chasing his dogs down to kind of just give you in that situation, or as a possible tool in your pocket, to go back and just capture that audience. Like, hey, if this guy's used to, or this girl's used to doing the same thing over and over again, something different's gonna catch their eye and ear. That was my filler. Back to you, Mike.
Sorry about that. I got 2 brand new puppies, so every time the wind blows, it goes. But so your tell me about yourself spiel I think is different than your 30-second pitch. And again, I'm going to give you an opinion here. I was told that by an executive one time at Inova Health System where I worked at, and they said, when I hear tell me about yourself, tell me something about you that's not on your resume and not on your LinkedIn page. Tell me something unique. Tell me something about yourself. Your elevator pitch is try to get in the door. And then once you're in the door, tell me about yourself. So you gave, Colin, I thought you gave a good spiel on tell me about yourself. If you want to be a tech person and work in the tech field, there's definitely a niche to sell that. I'm sure there's some savviness with regard to tech that you could mold into a real quick elevator tag, sort of like I have my talent management leader development tag out there. But I think it's, you're well on your way to getting that done.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Next on the list is Conrad.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Conrad Alston. I recently transitioned from the Marine Corps with over 15 years, mainly working in the aviation management field. I spent a lot of time working on aircraft, managing aircraft, working with people who work on aircraft, fixing parts. But the last 10 years, I spent a lot of time really just working with people and problem solving. So taking groups of opposing opinions and kind of gaining some kind of agreement to move forward in a common direction. So I love doing that. I'm hoping to look for using that experience towards project management or operational management.
All right, Matt.
Conrad, I love what you said, but I want to know what's the passion about seeing birds lift off in the air, and what's the satisfaction you get from that? Like Ryan said, what's the story that tells more about you than anything else? Other than that, it was really concise, but I would like to know that story. What is your story? What's your why? Okay.
The why I'm here and the why I'm continuing to look for employment after retirement.
The why do I like what I do now, and who am I, and what do I want to do next? Okay.
What I found that I love doing is working with different groups of people towards a common project. I love going into a room where people have completely opposing opinions. They can't work with you, you can't work with them. It's not going to work. And just talking to everybody and explaining your point, explaining your goal, tying that goal into everyone's strategic goals, and then forging a relationship out of that and accomplishing whatever that objective is. I've done that a lot, and I really enjoy doing that.
So your specialty is to take a room with diverse opinions and form a common bond so they can meet a common goal.
Absolutely. I've done it so much. It's always interesting because you got to manage personalities, right? So, but I don't mind doing that. I just understand that everybody has their point of view, and it's up to you through consistent, consistent communication is to kind of explain where the commonalities are. And once people see that there's a common interest, it usually goes well after that.
Awesome. Okay, that's my 5 cents on that so far. Thanks, Conrad.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike?
Hey, Conrad, good stuff, man. So I think I heard you say is you solve complex problems using a variety of experience-based skill sets with people.
Well, that was a lot sexier way of saying what I said, but yes.
So you see what I did there, and you were the first one I was able to actually write something down on, because it really what you did struck a nerve with me. A good nerve is I took what I talked about in the beginning, that paragraph, and I condensed it down into a sentence that would now cause me to come back at you and say, oh, that's interesting. So give me an example of how you do that. And then boom, you go right, honestly, that leads you right into a good star statement or something, et cetera. Did that make sense? Because I'm trying to give you an example of taking that paragraph and shortening it in.
Absolutely makes sense.
Sure. So I thought you had a lot of stuff in there, and I just made it. I took it into like 18 words or less. So good stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess one piece of advice I'd add, and it's a little bit longer than those 18 words, but perhaps a way to help you craft this, and where I've actually even still been learning today is most of you, or hopefully, are trying to quote unquote cold call or reach out to other veterans or other people in positions of interest within other organizations on LinkedIn, because that's what LinkedIn is all about. So. And hopefully you're not just hitting the connect button. Hopefully you're sending that personalized invite. Well, that personalized invite, you really have to craft their interest because they're going to go and accept or deny. So the fact that you're writing one is a step above most, but you still have to be short and concise in your pitch. So I think that is another way for an opportunity for you to kind of craft that story a little bit as you're reaching out, really cold calling individuals and hope they bite.
Yep, thank you again.
All right, next on the list is John O'Grady.
Okay, hi, my name is John O'Grady, and my passion is working with high potential and high performance coaches, athletes, and teams to help them become the best version of themselves. Additionally, I provide similar services to executives and executive teams in corporate America, and I'm happy to share with you how I do this.
I'm gonna let Mike go first. I'm still thinking, okay?
Yeah, so I know John as well. John's been a recent connection. John, you've obviously had an opportunity to practice that spiel. What you said is would cause me right away to go, hey, can you tell me a little about what you do, right? So, and then you go into your, which I happen to know what you do. So I like what you said. It's short, it's concise, to the point. It enables me to ask for more, which is exactly what you're trying to continue the conversation. And as John, as you talk about sometimes in yours, is stay in the game, move the chains, move the chains, move the chains. So, right. That keeps me wanting more.
I appreciate the feedback.
John, I really liked the conciseness of this. The only thing is maybe think about some kind of form of attribution. My customers will tell you that this is how I help them. Okay.
Okay.
It's one, common theme, like I help them overcome their doubts or I overcome their fears or something like that. Attribution always says, I'm pretty good, but people that I work with will tell you I'm just, it's that attribution thing that I think is the only thing that I could add to that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Matt and Mike. Next on the list is Josh.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Solomon, and I'm out of San Antonio, Texas, where I'll be culminating a 24-year career in the Army as the Provost Sergeant Major for Installation Management Command. 24 years in the Army with 21 years in leadership management. I'm passionate about people, programs, systems, and breaking barriers. I believe in building legacy, and I'm interested in seeking opportunities to provide management of systems, people, and processes.
Okay, I like what you said there, Sergeant Major. Once a Sergeant Major, always a Sergeant Major. You leave that all behind in a few months. But the thing that resonated with me was you break barriers. How do you break those barriers?
Okay, it's a great question. So for me, everywhere I go, I hear what can't be done. And so I'm kind of all about helping people see through those barriers. For example, where I work now, we have a problem with people filling critical life, health, and safety positions across the Army. So I was able to influence and author a policy that prohibited the garrisons, the installations from not filling those positions. It basically required them to fill it. So that's just one example of where we broke a barrier.
I like that barrier breaking. That was very vivid in my mind. Mike?
Yeah, so I cued in on barrier breaking. Josh, right? So we want to get out of that sergeant major and colonel and lieutenant colonel and staff sergeant and you want to get out of that mentality. So your first part was you said something to the effect of a 24-year career culminating as a sergeant major in installation management command. Well, I was able to write that down quick because I know what MCOM is and I know what a sergeant major is. I'll be honest with you, it's opinion. This is an opinion. It's not a fact. It's not based on anything. I would flush the part about sergeant major and MCOM because let me rephrase this. Unless you're trying to go to work in MCOM or stay on that government side of the house. Okay, so that's caveated that. I'm going to give you an answer as if you're maybe going to try to work in the civilian spectrum of, right? Because civilians don't know what a sergeant major is. They don't know what a staff sergeant is, a specialist, a colonel, a warrant officer, whatever, and they darn sure are not going to know what MCOM is. But I know what MCOM is. It's a major mid to large level organization, right? So I think with what you said, capitalize on the last part of yours. The whole thing about MCOM and sergeant major, it doesn't matter. Capitalize on the breaking barriers and how you do that, and be quick about it. Be quick. Because all you're trying to do is you're trying to get me to come back in at you and say, all right, well, let me hear about how you do that. What kind of barriers have you had to overcome, right?
Okay, I acknowledge. I really appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, I work with a lot of every rank, and I work with military spouses, and I try to address people as their first name because you want to crush that Army Air Force service rank mentality. It just doesn't matter in the civilian world. And I don't even know if it matters in the government world, but everything that I said in the beginning about if you're trying to go to work in MCOM, different story. Or GS, if you're trying to work on San Antonio's GS. So good stuff.
Got it. Thank you.
And in fact, I don't even, I stopped asking rank. Not that I'm not a hiring manager. I just kind of try to help people out. But again, as people approach me, I try to avoid the question. I try to go in with as much unbiased as possible. And I just want to hear who they are and what they do. And it's pretty amazing on some of the individuals that surprise you and what level they end up being at. So because it really truly doesn't matter. My two bosses ago, he was retired, or not a retired, but a separated H-53 Marine pilot, and my boss after him was an E4 radio operator, Marine Force, Marine E4. So doesn't matter on this side. Truly, really doesn't. So I can't emphasize Mike's words enough.
The one thing that I want to add to that is the fact that how you eliminated some unneeded positions, and you did that in such a way, that would be the story that I'd want to hear more about.
Which one you want? I got about 5 or 6.
You were talking about the regulations where you had some safety things, or I didn't really understand all that, being a former military guy with lots of additional duties. I understand that, and I get that. I'm just I would want to know more, and I'd almost want to get that hypothetical elderly aunt and explain it to her what you did and what was the impact.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next on the list looks like Mac.
All right, good evening. My name's Mac Bronson. I'm from the Hampton Roads, Virginia area. I'm a 20-year Navy veteran. I'm experienced and passionate about leading cross-functional teams that improve organizations using Lean Six Sigma, agile management techniques and processes that are truly transformational and help support the strategic goals of the organization.
Okay. Heard a lot of buzzwords there. What I want to know is, of all the things you've done in the Navy, what are the things that you're most proud of? Transformational, Lean Six Sigma. What has Lean Six Sigma done for you to help make things better for the people in your organization?
So most recently, my current duty station is Chief of Plans for the Joint Planning Support Element. And one of the things that we figured out kind of in the last year or so is that the DoD's policy of adjusting the joint requirement for joint duty from 3 years to 2 is going to significantly impact our ability to put our product out to the joint force, which is experienced and expertise in joint planning process. We are the consultants to the joint force for joint planning. And so I led a Kaizen event within my own organization to kind of get at the root issue of how that's going to impact us and what are some mitigating issues that we can impact, that the commander can decide upon in the immediate future, kind of intermediate future and distant future, in order to kind of help reduce the negative impact of that.
So Mac, because that's so, could I ask you to repeat that again, please?
Which part? The
whole thing.
The answer.
The whole thing.
Okay, so 20-year Navy veteran, experienced and passionate about leading cross-functional teams, improving organizations through Lean Six Sigma, agile management techniques and processes to truly kind of create transformational change for organizations that support their strategic vision of the future. And where I've used Lean Six Sigma and Agile in my kind of military sense is through leading a Kaizen event of senior officers and peers to truly get at what is the impact to the DoD policy change, manning change about dropping the joint requirement from 3 years of a joint duty to 2, and kind of set up and establish decisions and changes that our commander can make in the immediate term, intermediate term, and long term in order to kind of mitigate that impact.
Yeah, so you definitely found a way to sneak in every job function out there: cross-functional team, Lean Six Sigma, process improvement, organizational. You even found a way to get change in there, change management, right? And so if I was to grab what you said, I have no clue what you want to do, because you just gave me a variety of different pieces of a lot of different jobs. It's evident. So you must be. Are you Six Sigma qualified?
I am. I'm Green Belt certified. I'm working on Agile.
Yeah. That's evident when you talked about Kaizen and all that stuff like that. I'm not sure you need to say that. What I'm thinking you were telling me right off the bat was you're improving processes and procedures for organizational success. And then you put all the catchwords in there, all the other phrases in there. There's a thing out there where you can overpower somebody you're trying to impress, and having all those buzzwords in there, you may overpower someone. I like that it's short, it's quick, but I think you could say everything you wanted to say in probably a sentence. And what you're doing, since I'm assuming you want to maybe do something in process improvement, because that's where generally Lean Six Sigma sits. Is that yes, no?
Well, truth in lending, I've got a job lined up. I transition transition date is 1 September, but I start work for PNC Bank doing exactly what I kind of laid out: process improvement, change management in July. I'm just trying to really kind of hone in on my elevator pitch. I thought this was a good way of and methodology to do it.
Yeah. I think definitely, after listening to you, I was going to assume process improvement, and then even as you found a way to sneak in that change management, which of course, as you know, goes with everything. So I think your pitch is there. You're at the point where you're just fine tuning it. I would lose the buzzwords. I don't think you need all the buzzwords to say you improve process and procedures for organizational success. Opinion.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much.
I got a comment here, and this is a visual I want everybody to look at. So this represents like my late Aunt Mildred, who's very smart, okay? But if I could communicate what I was doing in the military when I was in the military to her, then I knew I was communicating well. So kind of like a hypothetical elderly aunt or uncle, sometime when we're allowed to talk to people or even go on a Zoom chat, ask them what they think so they get it, so that you can convey your talents, because you'll get into a job and somebody like that, maybe 10 years younger, is going to be working at your boss's desk. Okay. So you kind of gotta, that's just my input. You're going to do well in your post-military career, but just kind of look at that hypothetical two little old ladies as people you might want to practice on some more.
Absolutely. Terrific. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, so just a few things I wanted to add, and I appreciate you talking about honing that elevator pitch, because one thing, I say it as never stop interviewing, but the best time to interview is when you don't even know you're interviewing, when you're just having a conversation with somebody, and next thing you know, that job offer's slammed right in front of you, so to speak. So it's great advice to continue to try to hone that, even if you do think you have the perfect job lined up, because you just never know what's going to happen on this side of the fence. And the other piece I just wanted to add, and again, I'm a little bit somewhat a little bit different, but I come from Lean Six Sigma background now, and I just tell people, hey, I reduce waste. I said I'll tell people I care about reducing waste so much. Guess what? When I was a manager of 43 people and 10 helicopters, I held one meeting once a week, 1 hour long, and I chased them around and fed my team the communication that they needed to accomplish the mission. And why did I do that? Because I needed maintainers fixing helicopters, and I needed pilots out there planning and flying and executing missions. And then we could talk the Lean Six Sigma and the process improvement and all that stuff from there. And I think what you all will find is once you start talking, and I recommend it, not even so much going for your sales pitch, your elevator pitch, just start making friends with with civilians, or go talk to your high school buddies you haven't talked to in 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever the case is. Start learning that, you know, just lingo, that way to be more comfortable, that way to be more relaxed, that way just to be yourself. On one of my podcast episodes, the individual talks about like just putting himself back in his 12-year-old boy, like, you know, body and frame of mind. You know, he enjoyed doing this and doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, and it helps you kind of be the you that maybe is still in there. I'm not saying that the military you is bad, but it's just not quite the same on this side. All right, appreciate that. And next on the list is Raymond Lee.
Hey, how's everyone doing? My name is Raymond Lee. I'm a 20-year retired Army and Marine Corps veteran. I'm a project management professional that has experience in a world-class organization, leading small to large complex projects, delivering products and deliverables on time, within budget and scope. I'm fascinated by leading cross-functional teams and applying processes to achieve a common goal. And I'm looking to bring this experience and knowledge to your organization.
Okay. Back to my little old ladies here. Think about this as like a story that you want to tell, okay? Well, I heard what you do, but I want to know why you love it. And that's, to me, is real important, because you said something that about 4 other people have said, but I want to know where the passion is about what you got from your current job and what you're going to bring as the passion to that next job. That's my initial feedback. Okay. Cross-functional teams, that means you're working with people from different diverse organizations on a goal, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you work with people from different organizations to achieve a mission. Are you part of the team, or are you leading the process? Are you?
I'd be leading the project. So.
Okay, so you like leading projects where you get input from other people to reach a common goal, or help the bosses make informed decisions, correct?
Right.
Okay. I think that's something to think about. This is what I love, is pulling people from different viewpoints and different organizations, kind of like what Conrad said a few talks back about. This is how I do this. I have people with different opinions, and I form consensus among them. That'll be tighter, okay?
All right, appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Mike?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So Raymond, how long have you been working on that pitch?
Since this class started, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I heard your pitch, I immediately went back. It took me back 3 years ago to the first time I did a pitch. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you had a lot packaged inside there that you need to condense down into a smaller ball. You had the paragraph that you need to get down into a sentence. And, you know, project is what you want to do, something with project management, project direction, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. The good news about project management is there's a wide band that you could work on to get a very, very concise selling point, right? So real fast, if you think of, if I tell everyone if I say to you on this call, I work for an organization that says just do it. Who am I talking about?
That's Nike.
Nike, right? I mean, I hope you don't wear Adidas, but Nike is known for just do it, right? Just do it. And that's Nike's brand, and they protect that brand. I'm sorry? Yeah, so they protect that brand. So you don't need to say any more other than just do it. And images in your mind pop of Nike, tennis shoes, Michael Jordan, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And that's where you're trying to get. So when someone talks to you, you know, after 3 years, most folks, when they talk to me, they know right away that I like to hang my hat in the talent development field. And that's just that brand that's developed over time as I've gotten out. So, you know, and again, I posted my LinkedIn page, always glad to help folks get that sentence concise, but don't turn it into a book and try to get as comfortable as you can reading it. And I know you said since this class, but nothing you have in there is wrong. You just got to get it more concise.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so one thing I did want to add was just the fact, and it kind of is going to sum up a lot of what Mike and Matt have said, but you know, even when you do craft your pitch and you get great feedback and you're starting to feel comfortable, and not everybody's biting, that's not always going to mean that it's you. Or it might mean that it's you. Your pitch is not crafted to maybe the right person or the right industry. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's gonna be failure. You're gonna get a lot of people just scratching their head and they move on and don't ever, you know, contact you back, and that's fine. The point is to go back to the fishing thing. You know, a good day of fishing beats a bad day of anything else. So or a bad day of fishing, sorry, beats a good day of anything else. So I mean, you're still out there fishing, and it only takes that one bite, and the next thing you know, you got that monster on the end of the line. So, you know, that's just my piece of advice on staying positive with this and continuing to try to perfect it, but at the same time realizing that it's never going to be 100% perfect to 100% of the audience. All right, looks like last we have Ken Jackson.
Good evening, guys. I haven't really built much of an elevator pitch, but I'll shoot from the hip here. I retired in September 2019. Over the course of my time in the Army, I was fortunate to be involved with every aspect of HR, from data entry and file management to overseeing 1,400 employees that provided cradle-to-grave HR support for the entire Army. Due to a wide range of experiences I've had, not only learning what to do, but most importantly, learn what not to do. I enjoy assessing organizations and developing or modifying processes to improve effectiveness and efficiency. I'm interested in finding an opportunity in organizational development or program management.
Ken.
Yes.
The last thing you said got my interest. Okay, and you process improvement and what was the last thing you said again? I'm sorry, I'm listening and thinking.
Well, that was the second to last thing. Was I enjoy assessing organizations and developing or modifying processes to improve effectiveness and efficiency. And then I'm interested in an opportunity in organizational development or program management.
So to me, what you said at the end was probably the most tightest part of your whole presentation, which is, I enjoy this. This is what I do. This is what I'd like to do next. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's kind of the rest of it. That's kind of like the fishing bobber was at the end. That caught my attention. And then if I'm going to ask you other questions, we can talk a little bit more about the processes and all that part of the puzzle.
Okay.
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 Yeah, I agree with Matt, Ken. The last part of your spiel there, that last maybe sentence or two, was exactly, was getting to the core of what you wanted. Once you bit through everything else, it was at the core. I'd be glad to connect with you afterward. Are you already, you said you transitioned in September of 2019?
Yes.
Are you already working right now, or are you out of work?
I'm out of work. I retired, took the time off through the holidays, and started my search for meaningful employment after the new year. So
yeah, great. Kudos. Good. Be glad to. So organizational development sits under talent management. there are projects to manage in organizational development. I'd be glad to assist you in your hunt or whatever post this, but like I echo Matt, that last part of your pitch is what you need to hammer in on.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I'm not. I'll say it because I just to clarify, but I'm assuming you wouldn't say, hey, I retired in 2019. I haven't really crafted a pitch. I mean, it was good. I mean, I agree with Matt and Mike.
I wouldn't say that I was talking to someone. I was just letting you guys know kind of where I was coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, and again, I just just to reiterate, if there's other listeners out there, like I said, this will be recorded on the podcast. I mean, that's it. It just, I'm not going to say it's going to be a negative thing. Certainly somebody in HR can say a little bit more than me, but what I will say is when it comes to brand, my mind went right to that. My mind started going, okay, why is this guy, hasn't been working? And you have a good reason, don't get me wrong, but my point is I got lost in sidetrack and thinking, why does he have a bad pitch, and why has he not started working since 2019? And I kind of lost some of the rest of it. Again, not saying you would do that, but just for the listeners out there, remember that you are just do it. You are that brand. You are representing yourself and everything that says, and you don't want to distract individuals from what you're trying to hook them, so to speak. So.
Okay.
I did want to say, before, and I think Mike, Matt, if you guys are okay with it, we'll go. I'll open the floor up to see if anybody has any last few minutes worth of questions. We are at the hour mark, but I did want to say again that I see a lot of senior leaders here. Please support and help the troops down on the ground below them, and really the people who are thinking about transitioning or not. I mean, I understand there's a lot of gray area, and the military's job is to fight and win our nation's wars. But I just do see a lot of people that kind of start the process a little too late for whatever the reason is. And at the end of the day, that's just what I'm trying to get, is people to think, people to network. I mean, people could be 5 years into a 22-year career and they could have been on this call, so it really is out there for everybody. So please, since I have a line of leaders here listening to me, please, push that information down to get people just, get the thought in their head and get them thinking, what's next. So thank you. That being said, I will open the floor up for a few minutes. Mike and Matt, if you're okay with that. If anybody else needs to drop off, go ahead and drop off. But floor is now open for a few minutes of brief question and answer.
Can I give everybody a challenge?
Sure.
Okay, so a lot of you are still figuring out what you want to do and where you want to go. So about 3 weeks ago, we did a similar webinar with Herb Thompson, and this was a note that he had crafted, and I have a couple others, and I'll be happy to share those with you. But here's a note that he sent to somebody just to get some information about jobs, okay? So, hypothetical insurance claims. I'm leaving the service, you see the win, and I want to learn how you have been successful in your career. That's why I want to connect with you. Real simple. You get 300 characters. Can I count on you to reach out to someone you really don't know and ask them for advice and help? That's my challenge. Okay.
Actually, I've actually done that a few times, and I've gotten some pretty good feedback.
Good, good.
Yeah, so I will absolutely say, Herb is a genius. I think when it comes to playing this game, he's made the adaptation fast. And kudos if you're not connected, reach out, take a look at his profile and follow him. William Kiefer is another individual I would highly recommend connecting with and following as well. And at the end of the day, I'll go goofy on us for a minute for the sake of entertainment, but if you haven't watched wrestling or you didn't watch it back in the day, like go back and watch a little bit of wrestling. And this is those individuals. I mean, you get like 6'6", 6'8", you know, 300 pounds, super jacked up dudes, and they get the mic in front of their face and they never succeed because they can't speak on a mic. And that's really what this is. Like, this is your chance to stand up in front of the audience and be that brand, be who you are, be that passion. And I would take advice from, you know, and watch and learn from some of the, like The Rock. I mean, that guy's a genius as well. So just that's my way of trying to make this a little bit more fun, and just find an alternate way to go about and thinking about this.
Hey, so Herb is so good because of his background, but because he just gives it to you like it is too. He doesn't sugarcoat it. I mean, and I was trying to express this to someone the other day. We don't, as veterans, we don't want things to be sugarcoated. I didn't. I didn't want everyone blowing fluff all up me and telling me that, because I knew I wasn't doing things right. So, you know, be thick-skinned, as we always hear in the military. If you've ever been part of an after-action review, it can be unique. So be thick-skinned about it. And the other thing, if I could just throw this out there, right? You're going to have a lot of folks telling you that this is right and this is wrong and you should do this and you should do that and this and that. You know, my first response to them is hogwash. You know, you have to do what's right by you and your family and your organization, because at the end of the day, they're the only ones who care. No one cares if you get a job. Real talk. No one cares except you and your family. And so do what you have to do and do what you think is right. If your elevator pitch, you want it to be a page long and you can say it so eloquently it flows, then do it. You know, I couldn't do that. I have a friend of mine who had this long, and man, he could say that thing and I would be asleep, but it was a good sleep. So, you know, do what you think is right, and you'll be fine. Don't fall into the trap of, oh, I have to do what so-and-so said, or I have to do what so-and-so said. No, if that works for you, then do it. If everything that Matt and Ryan and if something we said tonight works for you, then have at it. If it doesn't, then okay. Then you move on. But it truly is, at the end of the day, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. I think I talked about this with Ryan and maybe Matt last week. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine, and you're going to find your next job, and you're going to go on, and you're going to start helping veterans, all right? So, you know, take some time, breathe, develop that elevator pitch, develop your LinkedIn page, and just go on about your business and do what's right by you and your family. And that's what the right answer is, right? Is what's right for you and your family. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to y'all.
Matt,
thank you, Mike, Ryan, and Matt. I just wanted to say thank you to Matt, Ryan, and Mike for all your feedback. You know, this has definitely been, you know, kind of a learning curve, if you will, in order for me to continue to get better, you know, at my elevator speech and continue to practice it. So I do appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
You're welcome, Bernie.
Yep, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, I can't reemphasize what Mike says. I mean, we talk about passion and values and what you stand for and what you believe for, but I truly believe every transition is going to go different, and there's a different way. The only I think the constant is finding that self, finding who you are first and foremost. And when it starts to feel natural, or when you're sitting across the table and you're having a conversation where you want to learn more, you want to ask questions, you have then found yourself, you have found your interest. If you're sitting there like searching for a question, really trying to listen, don't really know what to say, then maybe that's just not a match for the organization, the match for the industry, the match for you. It's, you know, you might have been a 26-year, you know, policy colonel, just to use you for example, Bruni, but at the end of the day, you might think that's your interest, just like I thought when I transitioned. Retail management was my interest, and 2 months into it, I figured out it wasn't. So I had to adapt again, and here I am in a supply chain, making jet engine parts for the military people that I supported, and once was. So you know, change will happen probably again, and learning yourself is, to me, the constant.
This, Ken, I'd like to echo what you just said there, because I did the same thing as I was transitioning. I started preparing for retirement years and years ago to make sure I wasn't struggling. But then as I started retiring, I figured I don't want to be in charge of people anymore. I want to go out and do something where you give me a task, let me do it, and then I'll go home. So I actually went and got a Class A driver's license, drove trucks for a while, and it was fun, but I lost interest because there was no challenge. So now here I am starting the process over again, trying to get back into that corporate world just because there's a mental challenge there for me. So there's going to be some bumps in the road, and you just have to take opportunities like this to make the best of them.
Yeah, Ken, the other thing I wanted to add is there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking a sabbatical, right? The younger generation calls that what do they call it? A me off, which is a year off after college. So, you know, at some point you may have to explain that on a resume. You may have to say, hey, I was in a 20-something year career where I was, you know, deployed or whatever. That's perfectly okay to do that. Just say, hey, here's what I did. I took 9 months off. I took 6 months off. During that 6 months, I did X, Y, and Z. That's perfectly acceptable.
Oh yeah, and what I've, since hearing your initial feedback, what I decided to do is I won't say that up front, but when they ask the question, I'm obviously prepared to answer it with this. I deliberately took that time off.
Correct. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all. And a lot of military folks get afraid of that. They think they got to jump right into something. Hogwash, man. Take some time for yourself. Take 6 months. Take whatever the heck you want to take. It's explainable. Folks understand that. They get it.
Well, I knew for me that if I left what I was doing and went directly into a civilian organization, it probably wouldn't go well. I had to get that mental shift before I decided to go that way.
No, yeah, that's a kudos, and again, I'll go back to my episode with Scott Tucker. He talks about how really the transition is a financial. I mean, he's a financial guy, so but it's a financial transition, and I've talked to individuals who took 3 years off to find themselves, and again, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, as long as you've put yourself and your family or whatever your priorities are. I'll say that, not even yourself and your family, but whatever you value and your priorities are, and you've taken that care of that, then yeah, take 3 years off or do whatever you have to do to learn yourself.
Right.
Hey, I did want to mention that I want to plug tomorrow's episode on the View from the Skies podcast, which you can download in any major platform. I record on anchor.fm. You can find it on my LinkedIn site, but it will be Mike and I talking about talent management in the talent management field. And then of course his transition story as well, and how he leveraged LinkedIn. That'll be launched tomorrow morning, and then I'll work with Matt and we'll launch this thing as soon as we can edit. I can get time to edit this. It'll be a bonus episode, probably later this week, if not early next week. Otherwise, View from the Skies launched every Tuesday, and look forward and hope to get some feedback to help continue support everybody. Appreciate it.